So in this next word problem, it stated a biologist collected 326 fern and moss samples. There were 66 fewer fern than moss samples. How many fern samples were collected? Okay, so and the question is just asking for fern samples. Now, we're going to look at the first sentence. A biologist collected 326 fern and moss samples. So, moss and fern sample, we don't know how many there are, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to use F to represent fern, and then M to represent moss. But we know that from here, collected 326 fern and moss samples. So basically the equation will look like this. 326 equal F plus M. Or you can flip it where it will look like F plus M equals to 326. So it doesn't matter which way you write it, it will still be the same. Now it says right here there were 66 fewer fern than moss samples. So I'm going to make another equation based on that sentence. So it says 66 fewer than moss samples. 66 fewer fern, sorry. So basically, we're going to be writing 66 fewer fern, that means F. We're going to go with F, equal. So fern was 66 fewer than moss. That means that it's going to be moss subtracted by or minus 66. So the key word right here, fewer, meaning subtraction. Now pay very close attention to the sentence. It says there were 66 fewer fern than moss. So when it says fewer fern, that means that's what the amount of fern is, and it's 66 less than moss. So that means that it's going to be M minus 66 or moss minus 66. Now we're going to use these two equations. So in the second equation, you see that it's F equals M minus 66, or fern is equal to moss minus 66. So I'm basically going to plug this in into the first equation, F. So basically we're going to combine these two equations, or simply substitute the second equation into the first. So it will be M minus 66 plus M equal to 326. Now I include parentheses in the event there might be a number or a factor that's outside, but since there are no numbers or factors except for an invisible one, I can let go of the parenthesis. So it's M minus 66 plus M equal 326. And then I can combine these two m's, so 1 or positive 1m plus another positive 1m, so that would be 2m minus 66 is equal to 326. So in order to solve this equation, luckily we have one variable, we are able to solve it. I'm going to cancel out the minus 66 by adding 66 on the left and adding 66 on the right. So it's going to be 2m is equal to 326 plus 66 will be 392. Alright, so from there, I'm going to divide both sides by 2 to get m by itself. So basically, moss, or M, is equal to 392 divided by 2, which will be basically 100 196. So there's 196 moths. But the question is, how many fern samples were collected? So this is not my final answer. So that means I'm going to use this second equation to find the amount of moths. Fern, sorry. How many fern samples were collected? So we know that there were 196 moths, so I'm basically going to plug it in to here. So F is equal to 196 minus 66. So 196 minus 66, that is 130, and that's how many ferns there were. So that is my final answer. Box that up. Now, another way to, well, not another way, a way to check that these answers are correct is that we're just going to follow this equation. Ferns plus moss is equal to 226. We're just going to add the amount for moss and ferns. So moss was 196. Fern is 130. So we're going to add them up. 6 plus 0 is 6. 9 plus 3 is 12. Carry the 1. 1 plus 1 plus 1 is 3. So 326. We got the right amount. So we found the right amount for moss, and we found the right amount for fern. And our final answer is there were 130 fern, or F equals 130.